Okay folks, here we go for the main event. So on 5:30 in Belfield on Saturday evening, we will have the Bodybro Ladies Football Senior Final between Adamstown, who were in the first final in 29 years, and Shelmaliers, who are going for 3 in a row. We'll go to Kevin on this one. Kevin, it's a huge occasion for both teams. It's going to be in Belfield, which is going to be a brilliant surface. I think we've got two really good footballing teams. From your own point of view, you're obviously very disappointed to have lost out in the semi-final against Shelmaliers. You've pushed them all the way. What do you think was the difference in the end, without saying a point, because that was the score, but what do you think was the difference really? What got Shelmaliers over the line that day? For sure,
the Shell's big game experience got them over the line. I think there was about 8 minutes to go, they were 2 points down, and they kept their game plan, they didn't panic, they knew what they were good at. They worked into scoring areas and got their scores. It would be very easy for them to panic. I'd say it's not too often that the Shells are in that situation. They normally dominate teams, and it just shows that the experience can't be beaten, and you know they have that in abundance.
The one thing that was noticeable, yes, they scored a lot of points, but you've got 4 goals on them, and you've got 2 goals early in the game. So if Adamstown are to get at Shelmaliers and try to cause a huge upset, is that something that they can look to?
It is and it isn't. I wouldn't be going hunting for goals. They've played each other in the group stage already, and I don't think I think Adamstown might have scored 2 goals. Adamstown have the firepower to keep the ball ticking over the bar. They have great scoring forwards. Yes, goals help, but again, they have the quality to win this game without racking up 4 goals. They have. This game will be won in both sets of forwards. I think that both of them are stacked with quality.
So, first of all, from an Adamstown point of view, we know about the household names in the Shelmaliers team, but who are they going to have to stop?
Well, I suppose this year we've seen Aileen Gilroy really step up to the mark. She's been a revelation in the games I've seen her. She's been a class actor on the field and on all occasions. I think in the semi-final she scored 10 points. But Ellen O'Brien, I think, is the most important player. She drops deep, wins the ball, gives and goes, and when teams pack up a defence, she's able to duck and dive and break the cover and win frees or give and go and accept goal chances. I think Ellen O'Brien is actually the Adamstown's match winner if they're.
She's the link player there that everything goes through.
100%.
Who's going to control the game for Shelmaliers, or who's going to try and control it?
Well, they're surely stacked head to toe with quality and inter-county quality. Kelly Carney is a huge player for them. Clara Donnelly, but again, I think maybe a player who comes from deep is Sarah Harding-Kenny. She's playing corner back, but she's playing like a wing back or a wing forward. I don't know how many times she ends up on the far 45, winning frees, winning possession. I think she's a huge player for them.
Yeah, if you were a corner forward, it wouldn't likely be marking her.
You spend most of your time in your own back line because she goes forward, and she has to be tracked.
Mary Rose, just to take a backward step away from the match, actually, how big of a team and how important have Shelmaliers been over the last number of years? Like, what they've achieved in the last 20 or 30 years has been massive, isn't it?
Oh, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Like, there's no denying the quality that has come through that team in the years past, and that is still coming through. And even there's the young teams coming up. Like, for the amount of county finals they've won, like, they're up there with Ballymacarbery of Waterford and you know, teams like that who've won back to back. And I think it came up, and it's so true, that it's the experience. Like, when they went 2 goals and a point down, there was no panic. They just went back to the basics, kept putting the ball over the bar, holding possession, getting people in the right spaces. They won't panic. So, you know, that comes from the amount of experience that they've had over the years, and like, they're stacked with it. They really are.
All their players, all their current inter-county players they have, but there was one player the last day, Leona Tector. She was, I remember someone used to say about Man United, Paul Scholes was the glue that held it together. She seemed to be the glue that held it together, Kevin, that day, and caused you a lot of trouble.
It was a big plus for them that when the game was stretched, they were able to kick the ball into her and it stuck, and she was able to hold it up for her to support runners, and I think she scored 4 or 5 points. I was very impressed with her. I know maybe she's come to the end, but in her day she must have been a serious player, because she gave an exhibition out there on last Sunday. She was excellent.
Lizzie, you played with her, and how obviously she's playing a role now that suits her. But how important was she back over the years, and how important is she still now?
Oh, absolutely. She would have been her original position when she would have started. I think when she won her first county title was wing back. They had a serious half back line at that stage. I think it was Leona Tector, Laura Corrigan and Summy Cullen. I don't think you would have found better in the country, to be honest, you know. She's adapted her game. She's gone from corner back, she's gone to half forward, and look, as in it kept coming back to it last week or 2 weeks ago in the semi-final. She just literally knitted everything together. So the ball came, as in loads of runners on the Shells team, but she was the connector that day.
Other players we have to look out for. Look, everyone knows these household names, but just talk us through a few of them.
Yeah, so I think Dee Fox in the goal. We've mentioned goalkeepers already. Her ability to kick for possession is huge, and we've talked about winning primary possession on the kickouts. I think she gives that to Shells in spades. You know, as in it's very seldom that her kickouts go astray. So it gives them a platform to build on. Shauna Murphy is another one we haven't mentioned. You know, super talented footballer. I'm going to say half an Adamstown woman as well, so I'm just going to try and throw that out
just
there.
Fill us in there, fill us in.
See, so her dad's from Adamstown, so as in I've tried to claim her a few times, but no, it hasn't, not yet anyway. So as again, she's been a brilliant player, and she gives that. She's an option, I suppose, as a marker. She gives them that attacking option as well. So she's just her versatility as well. Probably one of the best kickers of the ball out there as well. That, you know, as in if she breaks forward, she's not afraid to stick it over the bar as well. I suppose one that's missing next Sunday for Shells, Dee McMahon. I've mentioned her in the past as in serious player for Shells over the years as well, and she is a big loss to them. You know, the amount of work, as I suppose there's not too many cornerbacks in the county that would fancy Mark and Dee Mac, and what she does is she gives great leadership and experience to them. So she's a loss to them next weekend. But I mean, look, they have talent in abundance. You know, I mean, young Lauren Murphy scored 2 points the last day when the game was in the melting pot. You know, that's, I suppose, there's plenty of options, and somebody else puts their hand up if something is not happening.
Adamstown the last day, Lizzie, had a titanic battle with Clonee. Like, if anyone sees a scoreline, it's a cliche to say that it doesn't reflect the game. That scoreline did not reflect the game. As we said, they scored 1-8 up until the 55th minute, and the last 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes plus injury time, they scored another 1-8, and they were losing by 2 points coming down the home stretch. Yeah,
100%. And I guess, you know, if you take it into account, in the last 6 years, Adamstown have been in 5 senior semi-finals, and probably since the re-establishment of our senior team in 2000, our adult team, I think we've been beaten in 9 or 10 senior semi-finals. So it was a mammoth task, and I do think that maybe there was a bit of a wobble. Now, all credit to Clonee, put in a serious performance on the day, but I do think that played a factor. I think the big thing for Adamstown was getting over the line in that semi-final, however they did it. Now, look at it, was a little piece of luck really, as in when the game kind of broke and, you know, Adamstown started to take their opportunities and the game started to open up. But as in, I think the tight game will have done them no harm either, and I think that mammoth battle, they'd come through a couple of games, you know, during the year where it's been nip-tuck, so I don't think that'll do them any harm, and maybe a little bit of a reality, maybe not a reality check is the wrong word, but a little bit of a, I suppose, just awareness as in they're coming into a big game, you know, and that's...
Look, it's no secret to the fact that Adamstown have been hugely boosted by the arrival of Aileen Gilroy. She's playing AFL, women's AFL with North Melbourne. She's huge experience. She's an all-star with Mayo. Has played in Croke Park numerous times. We've seen the last day how much leadership she has off the field, but how much leadership does she have on the field?
Yeah, huge. I mean, she's just, and it maybe sounds a little bit cliche, she's just fitted in, you know. She's been with the girls for the last 2 years, and it's like she's been there for 10 years.
I'm sure the whole of Adamstown were very welcome when she arrived.
100%, yeah, absolutely. But she's fitted in, and, you know, she's, like I said, it's like she's been there for forever, really, to be honest. Just got stuck in, got in amongst it, as in, she brings great experience to the table, and, you know, the great thing about her as well is that she's sharing that experience. She's bringing players with her. She's not, you know, I suppose, she's not just coming in and just playing her own game. She's actually bringing those younger players with her. She's giving them information, and it's been massive. Yeah, huge addition to the club.
Mary Rose, we have 2 men involved over the 2 teams. And not to mention, and we won't forget about Alan Cowman as well, but we have two stalwarts of Wexford, even though Aidan O'Brien is a Westmeath man as well, but we have Aidan O'Brien involved and we Packwill involved, and they've done a huge amount Aidan has done a huge amount in the ladies and the men's game as well. How important have those two men been? And Alan Cowman has been huge as well with Adamstown, and I'm sure Packwill has his assistants as well in the club.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has really stood to Adamstown in the last few years has having the consistency of having Aidan O'Brien there. There's nothing worse than, you know, when you're kind of starting to get a run within a team and they're starting to play well, and then a manager leaves and a new one comes in, and you're kind of trying to rebuild again. And I think having that steadiness there has really shown with Adamstown. I know, like, they've been beaten in semi-finals up to now, but even last year, like, they were getting closer and closer. So I'm not surprised that they got into the county final this year. They've probably been one of the teams that has shone so bright throughout the league campaign or the championship campaign. And then as for Packwill, like, sure, what hasn't been said about that man? You know, he's done so much within Ladies J on a national level and on a county level, and also on a club level. He's been a fabulous ambassador, and always is looking to give back to the county. And, you know, never anything is too much for him, you know, question-wise or anything like that. So, like, yeah, two massive influential managers on the sideline, and they will both be looking at their tactic books. Like, there's a lot to come into play on Saturday. Matchups, you know, like the midfield battle, I think is going to be very interesting. We saw Clara carrying a lot of possession. Adamstown will have to look at that, and they'll also have to look about not giving away easy possession into the forwards, because Sarah Harding will come out and she will attack from that. So, like, both managers, they've given so much, and they're going to, you know, neither of them is going to leave any stone unturned to get the best out of their individual teams on Saturday.
Kevin, that actually brings me to my next question. I'm going to delve into your managerial mind now. You were playing Shelmaliers in the semi-final. How hard is it to get all your matchups to try and counteract what Shelmaliers bring to the table?
Yeah, we had actually set up thinking they had set up the same way as they played in the group game, and it took us a good 5 minutes to get the handle that they had actually changed. Kelly Carney had played wing back against us in the group game and went straight to midfield. But I think the problem with the Shells, you can try to match up your top players to mark their top players. I think that can be a negative in a way, because if they cancel each other out, they're just so stacked out the field. Someone else has to step up. I think Adamstown, yes, they have girls that can match up with what the Shells have, but I wouldn't fall into the trap either of changing my game plan just to stop them play. Adamstown have enough that if they stick to their game plan, that they can hurt the Shells. But of course, it's going to be a tough ask.
Would you, if you could do it differently again, would you target certain players to be man marked, or would you set up your team?
I think I'd set up my team from. We were better when we went back to the way we played all year. We had brought on Fortune was our playmaker all year, out around the third. We changed after 15 minutes and we got the grips of what they had changed. So I wouldn't be sacrificing our game plan to suit the Shells. Of course, girls have to be warned and some girls have to be marked, but again, if Adamstown stick to their game plan and do what they do best, it should be enough.
Okay. Lizzie, obviously you're not going to give too much away, and I'm sure you don't know all the ins and outs as well, but when Aidan and Alan sit down to pick their team and to match up, let's say, against Shelmaliers, like, who do you want to take out of the game?
Yeah, for me, and I suppose to me, she's probably been the player for our Shells over the last number of years, as in Clara Donnelly. When Clara Donnelly's on form, she's almost unplayable. You know, I think, and I mean, it's to pick out, there's probably a numerous that you could pick out, but any battles that we've had over the years, both herself and Kelly, when they go up through the gears, that's where Adamstown have had difficulty. just showed my allegiance there. That's where Adamstown have had difficulty. So as in the league final last year, Kelly Carnley put on an exhibition, scored 5 points. A couple of years previous to that, as in Adamstown were in touching distance, Clara Donnelly just went through the gears. So I think the two of those are massive in that regard, as in attacking wise. Like you've mentioned Sarah Harding already, she gives that threat going forward. But I think that element that Leona brings to the game, I think that would need to be nullified to, I suppose, maybe prevent those opportunities, as in for unlocking the defence, I suppose.
Mary Rose, there's been a lot of talk about the Shelmaliers players, but the Adamstown forwards, you've got Jasmine and Chantel Martin, all right, who you've seen up close. You've Ellen and Cathy O'Brien, all right. You've Aileen Gilroy, as we said, a really an excellent free taker. Like, how dangerous is the likes of Chantel as well when she gets a sniff of a goal?
Oh, Chantel will go for the jugular if she gets a sniff of the goal. She's a pure forward in that sense. Very dangerous left foot on her. I think what has having Aileen as such a playmaker this year as well has opened up a lot of the girls to kind of maybe change their roles a little bit and kind of get a little bit more creative. And I just think Adamstown and Spades have scores there. It needs to be a game of discipline on both sides as well, because you have two fabulous free takers. So if the discipline isn't up to good on either team, like they're going to be punished for it. So that's a big thing to take into account as well. But Adamstown have quality scorers there. And like they'll be a force to be reckoned with. If they get in the ascendancy, they will be hard to stop. Just before we finish up, Lizzie, one person has been mentioned who was very, very influential last day was Sandra White. She played a similar role to Leona Tector. She was a huge outball for Adamstown. She won a lot of ball. She fed a lot of ball to Chantel. She fed a lot of ball to Ellen and to Aileen to set up those scores. She's been very, very impressive this year. Yeah, no, and she's instrumental in Adamstown's attack. Again, she's the glue there, as in once the ball goes in there, like you're always looking for a player in there who can win those 60-40s. Sandra will do that. Sandra will win 70-30s for you, and has been chipping in with scores this year as well. A really, really, I suppose, experienced player, has put her heart and soul into Adamstown ladies football. Was excellent last day, and I think will be equally as important the next day, because plenty of runners on both sides, but you need that player who's going to link the play if you're going to get those scores on the board. Adamstown won a fail in 2017. Have any of those players come through yet, or is it too soon for them? They're just coming through actually. Leah Furlong came on the last day and would have got a goal, so she would have been part of that team. So there's a number of them on the panel at the moment. I suppose Leah was the first to come through, a little bit young, but they're getting there. There's 3 or 4 of them that are in the mix now and are involved, and I think that they will be big players. But they're still a young team, Adamstown, very young. Very young, yeah. No, they are. I suppose, we're in with a squad of 30 players, which it's fantastic. I can't give you the average age. There might be 1 or 2 that are pushing up a little bit, but I would have been that myself for a while. But as in, you're talking about mid-20s, so as in, with that, there's a number of 16-year-olds within the squad. So, yeah. Before we get to the predictions then for the big one, just to chat about COVID, how everything is affected. Speaking to the captains earlier on, Kevin, a lot of them actually said from a preparation point of view and numbers in the field that COVID has actually been a help for the ladies' game.
It has. Our numbers have been fairly good this year due to, I suppose, girls have not been laid off of work. Hasn't helped them, but it's helped our football. But I suppose on Sunday it'll be a big difference where normally you would have a band and a huge crowd, and it might be a bit surreal. It won't make it any less importance. Yeah. But yeah, my phone girl.
It's alright. It's part and parcel of it.
But yeah, as I say, it has helped in the way that the girls probably have nothing else to do, and they were keeping fit on their own time. And they came to us, and they were in better shape, and I suppose they were more determined this year than they had been going forward.
Mary Rose, the standard has just improved immensely in all ladies sports. But how much has it improved in Wexford ladies football over the last couple of years? And this year, in all the games we've seen, the standard has just risen again.
Yeah, like I think the semi-finals just showed that every match was so tight. Like with, you know, I suppose the Clonee game was like nearly a 1 point game going into the last 10 minutes. Obviously the Shells Cross the Beg game finished with a point as well. The standard has risen, players are rising to it. I think having the matches live on streaming as well has been fabulous for endorsing the game. Before, when we were allowed to go to the pitches, I've been at a few this year, and I can't get over the crowds. It's like there's a renewed energy of people going to these matches, which is brilliant as well. But the standard as well has definitely helped, and that's what's attracting people to go to these matches. Yeah, but
yeah, Lizzie, as I said before, we get a prediction. Just with the COVID and having no crowd there, do you see it? For a parish like Adamstown and with Shelmaliers at the following to bring, just in memory, I remember St. Anne's playing Shelmaliers a couple of years ago, and there was a huge crowd at the games and there was a huge atmosphere there. It's a pity because having the games in Belfield with a tight-knit stand there, it would have been a brilliant atmosphere for these games. But do you see it really affecting either team?
No, I think it's disappointing that we can't. I think to be honest, I think the whole of Adamstown would be in Belfield next Saturday if it was an option. And I suppose for those who can't be there and those who have soldiered long and hard with Adamstown over the years, when maybe, you know, senior county finals were a distant memory, I think it's hard. It's hard for all of us not to, I suppose, have them in attendance. I don't think it'll affect the players. I think that they will be very focused on the task in hand. You know, it's just, it would be lovely to have a crowd there. But look, that's the way the cookie crumbles. You have to play what's in front of you. But yeah, I suppose from both clubs, I'm sure they'd love to have families. And there's family members who won't get in on Saturday that maybe have been at games since they were playing under 14. So it's disappointing. But I think that, like, look, it's county final day. You know, both teams just want to go out, want to play, want to win. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now, folks, it comes to the moment of truth. As I said, our big game, our feast of football will end on Saturday about 7 o'clock with the Bodybro sponsored senior football final. I'm going to go to you, Mary Rose, first. We have contrasting teams. As I said, we've got Shelmaliers going for 3 in a row, and we've got Adamstown, who have huge tradition, All-Ireland winners 34 years ago, trying to get back up and knock Shelmaliers off their perch. How do you see this game going?
Oh, I think this game will go right down to the wire. I think there could be a potential even for extra time in it. Like, there's nothing between these teams. They've played already this year, and like, there's absolutely nothing between them. You'd like to think that Adamstown will be so hungry for this that they'll really put it up to them, but you cannot overlook the experience of Shells. We saw it in the Cross the Beg Ballymurn game where they just chipped away. I think this is going to be down to the wire, super close. But if I had to get off the fence, I think by the narrowest of margins, I think the Shells will win this game.
Lizzie is giving you the daggers right now. Kevin, you've played Shelmaliers, you've been involved, you've seen these two teams in action. Who do you think is going to come out and do the business on Saturday?
Yeah, it's already been said. These have played each other in the round robin, and it was a draw, a very close game, and all up along. Both of them had very tough semi-finals, so both of them are well prepared. Again, it will be tight, and we've talked about experience here. That might get the Shells over the line. They probably have a few extra match winners than Adamstown, but it'd be no surprise to see Adamstown come on top. They're a young team and they're up and coming. I think the Shells have won 9 out of the last 10. There's a reason because of that. They have been the best team in the county for the last decade. I think maybe the Shells by 3 points, but I think this could be their last for a while. I think they've helped women's football or ladies football in the county. They have driven every other club on. If they weren't as strong, the effort would be put in other clubs. And I think on Sunday they get over the line 3 or 4 points, but it will be their last for a while, I think.
Okay, interesting. Lizzie, are they going to be dancing the crossroads in Adamstown, or are they going to be crying?
I suppose I've seen firsthand the work that the lads and that Alan Cowman and his management team have put in with these girls. I've seen what these girls have done over the last number of years. They have worked incredibly hard. It's a long time coming. I did feel getting over the semi-final was the big one for Adamstown. I thought if they could do that, and there's no talking down on the Shells here in the sense of we talk about their experience, but they're a bloody good side as well. So I guess, you know, I'm going to get off the fence now in a minute, as in I think you know what side I'm going to go to, but I do feel that it will go right to the wire. I do think extra time could be something that could be an option on the day. I was at the draw-in game earlier in the campaign, and it was probably one of the best games of football I've seen, I'd say, in the last number of years. It was cracking end to end. I actually think it'll be a day for the defences. I think that's what I think, two really good attacking sides, but I think that it'll be a day for the defences, and I'm going to go with Adamstown.
Shock horror.
And there'll be more than dancing at the crossroads.
As long as you're home by 10:30.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the one thing we're all in agreement is we're in store for a cracker. We're in store for an absolute cracker. As Kevin says, the standard has raised so high due to Shelmaliers being so dominant over the last few years, and I suppose we do owe them a lot because they've driven the standard so high that everybody has to be really, really good to try and catch up with them. I'm going to pick Shelmaliers as well. And again, it's just so hard to not pick them because of the experience they have and because of the players they have at their disposal. But they were beaten a few years ago by the St. Anne's, and I don't think they're as dominant as they were 6, 7, 8 years ago. So there is light at the end of the tunnel for Adamstown, but I really, really don't see this being a 7 or 8 or 9 point gap. I see this, as you said, going down to the very, very end. And but I think Shelmaliers will come out on top just by the minimum margin at the end. But the one thing for sure is we're in for a cracker on Saturday. We're in for a feast of football. We hope everybody can join us. And I would just like to really, really say thank you to my guests tonight, Kevin Byrne, to Mary Rose Kelly, and to Lizzie Kent. So we'll be live on commentary for the 3 games on Sunday, as long as all the broadband issues go well. On Saturday, apologies. We'll be live on Saturday at 11:30 for the intermediate final between Gusran and Kilmore. We have Castledown versus Bodylove Tira at 2:30 in the Junior A final, and then at 5:30 we have the big one between Shelmaliers and Adamstown. So we hope to see you all there, and we look forward to 3 great games. Thank you.